With FIFA 19 just around the corner, and of course with the fantastic news that the Champions League is going to be making an appearance in future FIFAs, I thought this would be a great time to talk about career mode and where I think potential fixes and additions should be added. Let's jump straight in. For some time now, starting a career mode is very simple. All you do is pick the league and you pick the team that you would like. Now, as easy as this is, what it lacks is any real story. I mean, I'm Mr. Nobody. How can I get the job of my dreams? Let's say I wanted to be Chelsea. What would be quite nice is perhaps some kind of mini-game, a mini-game that will determine what job offers I get. Naturally, being a nobody, it would be understandable that I would get very low offers. I think it would be quite nice to have a almost road to glory built into the game. Being able to customize our manager is a very welcomed addition. The only problem is that it is very linear. There isn't too many options. It would be very nice to see this expanded. On that further, this on the right hand side, as we can see here, why on earth do we need to pick one outfit for the entire season? Surely we better dictate his outfit even perhaps per game. Now, something that has been mentioned several times, I've seen it in so many videos, is some kind of a stadium customization. Now, I totally appreciate that with some of the leagues and teams, they have their licensed stadium, such as Chelsea having Stamford Bridge, Man United having Old Trafford. So I do understand that we can't just willy-nilly adapt and change and do things, because it is probably part of the licensing that they have the agreement, let's say, with the Premier League. What is quite frustrating though is teams that do not have a specified stadium. They of course just get given Court Lane in a lot of cases, but again, it just depends what league you are. Now, what would be really nice is to have some kind of stadium development, as in you start with a very small stadium perhaps if you are a League 2 Division 3 team, let's say, and you can build your stadium up. If there's no licensing issues with that, which there shouldn't be as they do not have stadiums dictated, I don't see why EA can't just incorporate that in the game. It wasn't so long ago that the pre-season tournaments were incorporated into the game. Now, although this is a fantastic addition, it does lack any real depth and purpose. Of course, you are able to pick the type of tournament that you'd go into, and it does give you the opportunity to play against some teams that you may not. The only real problem with it that I find is that, one, you cannot use all your players. You are restricted to the amount of substitutions. It would be incredibly nice to see unlimited substitutions. Preseason is a fantastic opportunity in real life for the manager to see the players. Perhaps in this case, for example, expecting that I'm a new manager going to my club. I want to get to know the players. I want to see who's committed to the club and who's committed to the football. It would be fantastic to see some kind of interaction between the players and the manager. Perhaps a player comes to the office and says that he's not really interested in playing for the team anymore. Perhaps he thinks he's too big for his boots. It'd be nice to have that little bit of interaction at the start of their career, so you can make your mind perhaps on players that you know are dedicated to the club and players that may not be. An addition that I was really a fan of this season was the incorporation of news, breaking news and club news, etc. What's really great about it is it does just enhance the interaction, just so you can see it, the world feels more alive. The problem with it is they are very repetitive. It would be nice to see a lot more of these, a lot more specific to your team and not just some pointless things going on around the world. A very much welcome addition that I'm a big fan of is the new squad hub. It is great to be able to see the players. It's great to be able to interact with the information there. The one thing that I would say I'm just not a huge fan of at the moment is the contract negotiations. Now, it is fantastic it's been brought in. Of course, we're able to interact with the players on a level basis. This isn't bad at all. What it does lack, again, is any real depth. You can sit down with every player and it's exactly the same. You can skip and essentially there's not really much skill involved. You can just play it safe and you're always guaranteed to get it. It would be very nice to see very specific options for players. Perhaps they don't just, it's not all about money. Perhaps they want to make sure they're playing for X amount of games. I would like to at least play 36 games in the season, for example. I just think it's a very nice idea. There just needs to be a little bit more depth added to this system. Now, when it comes to training in FIFA, it's a great idea, but this is very poorly implemented into the FIFA titles. Now, as it currently stands, we're able to train, let's say, one player per week in 5 different areas, or as shown here, we can train 5 players in very specific areas. The problem is, if you want to do it manually, it's very time consuming and it's pretty hard. It's a lot easier just to simulate. That's quite boring. What I'd really like to see is incorporated in a way much like it was a few years ago, not in terms of training, but just the ability to have, let's say, a training match. I don't know if you remember the old arena where you could start training with the players in a training game. It was fantastic for testing things like skill moves. So why can't that be incorporated to train the whole team? So my idea really is you have a training game. In that training game, it's like playing against the opposition anyway, in a real game. You don't have to do it, it might only be 4 minutes long or so, but based on the performance of that training game, certain players will get boosted up. Now, in my head, it will give you the opportunity to train things like skill moves in certain players, but also it will allow you to test the team out a little bit more. So much like with preseason, you can on a regular basis play with different players to understand who you want for the big day come the weekend. Now, something that I would really like to see in the career mode is a little bit more presence. Now, what I mean by that is the presence of other people. Currently, you may get a message from the board occasionally to say that you're not on target or you are on target. Perhaps it's the medical team saying that a player is recovering from injury, but there's no presence. It's just a little text box that pops up in your inbox. It would be fantastic to be able to see that interaction. Perhaps you can actually have medical staff. You can have training staff. You can even sit down with the board. I don't know, anything EA, just to give us a little bit more depth. It would be really nice to see some kind of interaction between the player and the manager. When the player is unhappy, for example, it may go to a cutscene. Just something that allows you to have a comeback, an option, some kind of toggle option, so it's not just information being belt fed to you. There is an interaction, not a one-way system. Sticking with the topic of the players, something that is very important to me is player customization. Now, currently it's very linear for all PS4, all Xbox users. You can only really change things such as boots, if they want their shirt tucked in, if they want a few little accessories. I'm fortunate enough to be able to play it on the PC, which means that I can change things like their hairstyle, like their facial hair, like their tattoos. Now, this is something that shouldn't just be available to PC owners. This should be open to absolutely everyone. So now we jump to what I would say is one of the most disappointingly incorporated versions of what could be a fantastic addition to career mode, and that is objectives. Now, objectives, in theory, they could be whatever we want. They should have so much depth to them. They should be very manager specific, very club specific. The way EA is incorporated is that they are so linear, in fact, that you can basically never look at them and you'll still achieve them. It's crazy. It's a great idea, but it's been incorporated in such a poor way. What I would really like to see in FIFA 19 is these objectives open up, make them more specific, make them I'm not saying less achievable, but make them so the actual manager, the players need to do something, and maybe different ways of doing it, a little more interaction. Now, sticking with the same type of topic, and that is your career, you as a manager. Now, this is something that is just so poorly incorporated. It's embarrassing. This is career mode. It's about you, the manager, what you can accomplish. Yes, you only have 15 years, which in itself is disappointing, but I want to be able to see a nice breakdown of my achievements, not just the club I was at, what the league objective was, how well I did. It is so linear. There's nothing that really shows me anything there. My current wage is 55,000. How? How have I got to 55,000? This is coming to near the end of the 15 seasons, and there's nothing on these pages that is any interest to me. Nothing at all. I would really like to see so much more to this. There could be a leveling system. There could be a system where you sit down with the board to discuss your wages. You discuss your contract. There should be so much more added to it. I should be able to see a lot more achievements. There should be perhaps certain perks that I picked up, like traits as a manager. Perhaps a few times a season I can do a motivational talk that will boost the players' morale, or boost a player's overall perhaps for the game. I don't know, but what I'm saying is, as a manager, I should be able to have a lot more interaction with my career and my actions for the club. This at the moment, it is just shocking. It is so embarrassing. So staying on the same path, something that we'll talk about now is the job openings or potential job offers. Now, currently in FIFA, it's very rare that you will be sent a job offer. That's quite frustrating, especially if you've taken a team, let's say from Division 3 up to the Championship. It would be nice to be recognised for that. Furthermore, on that, it would be great to see vacant job roles. Now, perhaps there should be an option where you can apply for a job role like this, job openings, but a little bit more than just saying, hello, I would like to join your club. Perhaps linking in with the whole manager and your progression, you may have to be a certain level, you may have to have certain experience, some kind of negotiation between the club and yourself. Something basically just to thrive towards. You as a manager, if we link it to the start of the career where it's not as easy as you pick your team, it would be nice to see the opportunity for you to actually build your way up as a manager, and not to make it easy, not to make it as simple as just click on a button, oh yes, well done, you've got an okay reputation now, happy days, here's your set salary. I want to see a lot more of an interaction between everything that the manager is involved in. So now we're moving on to what is probably my biggest thing in career mode, and that is the youth academy. I absolutely love the idea of a youth academy. You bring young players in and you can watch them develop over the seasons into world-class players. Currently in FIFA, it is completely broken. I think most people know that. As we can see here, just to start it off, what I would like to see is you can basically send a scout anywhere. Again, because I play on PC, we can see that I've been able to send him to the Faroe Islands, FYR Macedonia and Fiji. It's crazy, right? But why can't we, EA? We should be able to send them to whatever countries we like. What would also be quite nice is the ability to get the scout of your choosing. Now, if you are a club, let's say like Real Madrid or Chelsea, surely you want the best scouts. This shouldn't be done in a way that is completely random. You shouldn't just click on a button and see whether or not the scout's there. If you want an incredible scout and you have the money, you should be able to pay for him. It shouldn't just be a linear process where it is just luck of the draw. If I want a 5 and 5 star, I should be able to get a 5 and 5 star. I shouldn't have to keep going through the motions of hiring and then firing and hoping that eventually a 5 and 5 does come up. It's a silly system. So what also is incredibly frustrating is this. Now, when you send out your scouts to find a player, this is so annoying. The only one that I'll let off is goalkeeper. If I want a goalkeeper, happy days, I can search a goalkeeper. However, if I want a striker, well, who do I search? Do I search an attacker? A lot of the time, you will not even get a striker actually come back. You might get a centre forward, you might get a winger, but very rarely will you get a striker. Do I want a technically gifted? What does that mean? Technically gifted striker? Do I want a technically gifted left back? These brackets are just ridiculous. There's no way in the world you would send out a scout and you would say, what are you after? I just want a physically strong player, mate. Okay, he comes back with a striker, a centre back, he comes back with a left mid. I mean, you would be more specific than that. You can say, yes, we would want a defensive player. Yes, we would like a midfielder. Yes, we would like an attacker or a goalkeeper. And then we should have little sub options. Okay, so you're looking for a striker. What type of striker are you looking for? Well, I would like him to at least be 6 foot, for example. He must be right-footed, but that's a little bit going too in depth. But what I'm saying is, if I want a striker, I should be able to scout a striker or thereabouts. It shouldn't just be luck of the draw. If I say I want a strong striker, there should be some kind of tab or tick box that I say, yes, this is essential, this isn't essential. There should be a lot better way of doing this, and this really is just very lazy from EA. Arguably, the most frustrating thing for me is this system now. So when you get the players back, link it into what I just said. This is sending out to all. So we search for all. When you get it back, this is unknown. Now this to me is just bizarre. You sent your scout out. You sent him out to go and get you players. He said, here are some players. But the guy has no idea. He's just got a very rough idea about where these players play. What have you been watching when you watched them play? What were you doing? Were they playing right mid? Well, I don't know. This is silly. Yes, I understand if you've got a very low rating scout, it should be maybe broad. It should say, but perhaps they play right mid, left mid, or this. But really, they should have some idea. It is strange. What that should really link into with the scouts having their 1 stars, that should be how accurate they are in finding you a potentially good player. So they might know this player here, let's say Markov, they've brought him back. They know he plays right mid, that's fine, they saw him play right midfield, but their ability to assess how good he is, that's where the low rating should come in. So they might say, oh yeah, we think he's going to be a 90, whereas in reality, he may never get to that potential. So really, it needs to be done in a better way. It would be nice to know the positions when they come back. Again, linking in really with how the scout should come back. This is a good idea. It shows you a kind of rough area that their stats are, but we should be able to see more acceleration. Why do we have no idea what his acceleration is? I don't understand it. Did you see him play? Did he look quick? No, I don't understand it. It's such a strange way of looking at it. The potential, okay, that's not so bad. The potential, again, the greater the scout, the greater it should be. at determining what the potential is. But really what I would like to see change massively here is, just giving you a little bit more information. I would like to see things like skill moves, potential skill moves even perhaps, such as a minimum of a 1-star, maximum of a 3-star, minimum of a 2-star, maximum of a 4-star, just so you can paint a picture yourself of whether or not you're going to waste your time on that player. Whilst I really would love to see the Youth Academy as a whole pushed, I've seen it mentioned so many times, I would love to see a completely separate squad. I would love to be able to interact with them in training sessions and things like that, for you to be able to, let's say, play with certain players, and then you can decide whether or not they have a future at the club. It would be incredible to open up. That really would open up career mode. I think there'd be a lot more interest if it's built for the future. It's not just about the players now. You can build a club for the future. And I think the Youth Academy it would be a fantastic way of doing that, considering it's done in the right way. So just to finish up talking about the Youth Academy, this is really, throughout the years, been one of my biggest kind of bugbears, and that is this position that we could be in now, for example. Now, let's just say that this player, this 15-year-old, has got the potential to be an 85 to 90. It said that. We've got him into the Youth Academy, and we want a centre midfielder. He's 6 foot, left-footed, fantastic, we think. This is brilliant. We know he's going to be a good player. The most frustrating thing is that you wait a year, let's say, for this player to finally become eligible, and this is what you're met with. Happy days, right? You've waited an entire year and you have got a 16-year-old centre midfielder, centre defensive midfielder that's 6 foot, beautiful. But he's got low attacking work rate, he's got low defensive work rate, he's got 1-star weak foot and 1-star skill moves. Wow, that is amazing, EA. Thank you so much for allowing me to wait a whole year for this potential 95 rated player. It is ridiculous. What makes it more ridiculous is that you cannot change any of those. Yes, on the PC, I have the ability to, but nobody else does, and it shouldn't be a case that we are relied as the players to do this. EA should pull their finger out and give us some type of option to train things like the weak foot, like skill moves, even attacking work rate and defensive work rate. That is what training is for. The manager's job is to get the best out of the players, and this destroys it for so many people. You wait, you invest time in looking for that player, and this is what you end up with. And it wouldn't be so bad if it was just a one-off, but because the Youth Academy is so broken, this is what happens time and time and time again. Just to add insult on that, when you go and finally check the player out in the squad hub, yes, that's right, your brand new 16-year-old Youth Academy player looks like your dad. So coming near the end of this video, just a few other couple of things that are annoying. I've already touched on it briefly, but it is the messages from the players. It's the interactions. It's the boss, I'm either feeling good, or boss, I'm feeling bad. It would be nice to really get that interaction more with the players. And the same can be said when it comes to talking to the press. Currently, we have very limited options, and really, it doesn't explain what anything does. Fantastic, we can give a player talk, and what can we say? Well, we can unnerve him. Well, what exactly am I going to say? How is it going to affect him? Let's have some nice interaction. Let's make a little cutscene of it. Let's have something that looks easy on the eye, EA. So just ending the video on what for me is something that breaks my soul every time I see it. It's the international job offer. Now, if I was a real Premier League manager, I would freaking go insane. I get job offers every other week telling me that I've been selected for Colombia, the Netherlands, Portugal, whoever it is. I'm not interested in international management. Now, there should be a tick box to say whether or not you are. If you constantly hounded a Premier League manager, they would turn around and say, look, I want to manage my club. I don't want to manage international. EA, please just give us an option to have it or not. If I am interested in becoming international manager, I will put my hand up and say, yes, come and get me, guys. But right now, I'm not interested. So please stop hounding me. Just that option would save me a lot of headache. Yes, it's a little thing. Yes, it might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but wow, it's just laziness. Other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching the video. Leave in the comments what you would like to see in FIFA 19 and what things bug you about the career mode. If you did like the video, if you could give it a thumbs up, that would be fantastic, and consider subscribing for any future content. Other than that, I will see you very soon. Take it easy.